Captain Jake Morrison stared at the endless darkness outside Aurora Base. The space station floated near the edge of the solar system, far beyond Pluto. Jake had been watching the stars for 3 years now. Nothing ever happened out here. That was about to change. "Captain, you need to see this." Lisa Webb's voice cut through the quiet hum of the station. She was the communications officer, and she sounded worried. Jake floated over to her console. The gravity generators were running, low power again, so everyone moved carefully through the air. "What is it, Lisa?" "I'm picking up something big, really big." Lisa's fingers danced across her keyboard. Numbers and charts filled her screen. It just appeared out of nowhere. Ryan Carter, the tactical analyst, pushed off from his station and joined them. His face was pale. "Captain, whatever that thing is, it's the size of a small moon." Jake felt his stomach drop. In all his years in space, he had never seen anything like this. "Where is it?" "Just past Pluto," Ryan said. His voice was steady, but Jake could hear the fear underneath. "It's not moving, just sitting there." Megan Torres, the chief engineer, called out from across the station. "Power readings are off the charts. That thing is putting out more energy than our sun." Jake grabbed the nearest handhold and pulled himself to the main viewing screen. At first he saw nothing but stars. Then Lisa adjusted the image, and Jake's breath caught in his throat. The ship was beautiful and terrible at the same time. It was long and smooth, like a knife made of silver metal. Strange lights pulsed along its surface. It was bigger than any city on Earth. "How long has it been there?" Jake asked. "It just appeared 2 minutes ago," Lisa said. No warning, no energy buildup. 1 second there was nothing, and the next second, there it was. The communication console started beeping. Lisa's eyes went wide. "Captain, it's sending us a message." "Put it through." The voice that came through the speakers was calm and clear. It spoke perfect English with no accent at all. "Inhabitants of the third planet, you have been observed. Your species shows concerning potential. This is your only warning. Prepare." The message repeated 3 times, then stopped. The station fell silent except for the hum of the life support systems. "Did that thing just threaten Earth?" Ryan asked. Before Jake could answer, the communication system activated again. This time, numbers and coordinates filled the screens. Lisa studied them quickly. "These are coordinates for the moon," she said. "Earth's moon. And there's a date. 1 year from today." Megan floated over to join them. "What does that mean?" Jake was about to answer when the alien ship did something that made his blood run cold. A beam of bright blue light shot out from the vessel. It reached across space and touched a small asteroid that was drifting nearby. The asteroid, which had been tumbling slowly through space for millions of years, suddenly changed direction. The alien ship moved it like it was a toy. The massive rock, bigger than a football stadium, turned and began moving toward the inner solar system. "They're sending it toward Mars," Ryan said, watching his instruments. "No, wait. They're slowing it down. They're putting it in orbit around Mars." The demonstration lasted less than 5 minutes. When it was over, the alien ship simply vanished. One moment it was there, and the next it was gone. Jake stared at the empty space where the ship had been. His hands were shaking. In 5 minutes, these aliens had shown they could appear anywhere, move asteroids like toys, and disappear without a trace. "Lisa, get me a direct line to Earth Command. Priority Alpha." "Yes, sir." While Lisa worked, Jake tried to think. The aliens had said Earth species showed concerning potential. What did that mean? And why give them a year to prepare? "Earth Command online, Captain," Lisa said. "This is Captain Morrison at Aurora Base. I need to speak to Admiral Parker. Immediately. We have a code black situation." The voice that answered was crisp and professional. "Captain Morrison, this is Admiral Parker. We've been monitoring your communications. The entire solar system defense network picked up that energy signature. What exactly did you see out there?" Jake took a deep breath. "Admiral, we've had first contact with an alien species, and I don't think they're here to be friends." He told Admiral Parker everything they had witnessed. The massive ship, the warning message, the demonstration with the asteroid. When he finished, There was a long silence. Captain, I want you to send all your data to Earth immediately. Every scan, every reading, every piece of information you have. Already working on it, sir. Good. We're sending the heavy cruiser Vigilant to your position. You'll escort them back to Earth for debriefing. What about the warning, Admiral? What do you think they want? Another pause. I don't know, Captain. But if they wanted to destroy us, they probably would have done it already. The fact that they gave us a warning and a year to prepare means they want something else. Jake nodded, even though Admiral Parker couldn't see him. What are your orders, sir? Keep watching the skies, Captain. If they come back early, I want to know about it immediately. The connection ended. Jake looked around at his crew. Lisa was already preparing the data transmission to Earth. Ryan was running deep scans of the area where the alien ship had been. Megan was checking all their systems to make sure the alien technology hadn't affected their equipment. What do you think they meant by concerning potential? Lisa asked. Jake shook his head. I don't know, but I have a feeling we're about to find out. Far below them, on the blue and white planet they called home, 7 billion people were about. To learn they were not alone in the universe, and their new neighbors had just delivered an ultimatum. 1 year passed like a dream and a nightmare at the same time. President Helen Davis stood in the Situation Room deep beneath the White House. The room buzzed with activity as the final preparations were made. Today was the day the aliens would return. Status report, President Davis said to her assembled team. Secretary of Defense Paul Mitchell stepped forward. All military units are in position. Colonel Amy Brooks has the Unified Defense Corps ready for deployment. We have weapons positioned around the moon landing site, but honestly, Madam President, if they wanted to destroy us, our weapons wouldn't stop them. Dr. Angela Foster, the NASA director, cleared her throat. The good news is that Dr. Kevin Lee's team has made some progress understanding their technology. We managed to analyze the energy readings from their asteroid demonstration. Their power source is beyond anything we've ever seen. President Davis nodded grimly. For 12 months, the world had changed completely. Every nation on Earth had put aside their differences to prepare for this day. Scientists worked around the clock. Military forces trained for battles they couldn't imagine. And everyone waited. Dr. Sam Rodriguez, the xenobiologist who had been studying the aliens, spoke up. Madam President, I've analyzed every piece of data we have about these visitors. The way they approached us, the warning they gave, even the demonstration with the asteroid. I believe they've done this before. What do you mean? The warning was too perfect, too calculated. They knew exactly how to intimidate us without destroying us. This suggests they have experience dealing with other species like us. The room fell quiet. President Davis had feared this possibility for months. If the aliens had conquered other worlds, what chance did Earth have? An aide rushed into the room. Madam President, they're here. On the main screen, images from the moon appeared. The alien ship had returned, just as promised. It hung in space, above the lunar surface like a silver dagger pointing at Earth. It was exactly as Captain Morrison had described it a year ago, but seeing it on the big screen made it seem even more impossible. They're sending down a landing craft, reported the communications officer. President Davis watched as a smaller ship detached from the main vessel. It moved smoothly down to the moon's surface, landing in the exact spot where the coordinates had indicated a year earlier. Our people are in position, she asked. Yes, ma'am. Commander Luke Hayes is leading the diplomatic team. Dr. Beth Rogers is with him as our language specialist. They're in the lunar base, ready for contact. The wait was terrible. President Davis knew that in the next few hours humanity's fate would be decided. Either they would find a way to coexist with these aliens, or they would face destruction. The communication system crackled to life. Commander Hayes' voice came through clearly, from the moon. Earth Command, we have visual contact with the alien representatives. They're approaching our position now. President Davis leaned forward. Understood, Commander. Proceed with the meeting. Minutes passed like hours. Finally, Commander Hayes' voice returned. Earth Command, we are in communication with the alien delegation. Their leader calls himself Overlord Zeftar of the Hegemony Council. He speaks our language perfectly. What does he want? President Davis asked. There was a pause. When Commander Hayes spoke again, his voice was tight with tension. He says that Earth falls within their expanding territory. We have two choices: submit to incorporation as a vassal species, or face what he calls pacification procedures. The room erupted in angry voices. Secretary Mitchell slammed his hand on the table. Pacification procedures, what does that mean? Commander Hayes's voice continued. He says they have applied these procedures to 17 other worlds. He's showing us images now. Another pause. My God, these are planets that have been completely stripped of life. Nothing left but dead rock. President Davis felt her heart sink. 17 worlds. 17 entire civilizations wiped out. There's more, Commander Hayes said. He says, they specifically target species showing rapid technological advancement. They've been watching Earth for decades, waiting for the right moment to make contact. Our space program, our nuclear technology, our computers. They see us as a threat that needs to be controlled. Dr. Rodriguez leaned forward. Ask him about the other species. The ones who submitted. Commander Hayes relayed the question. The answer came back quickly. He says the vassal species provide resources, technology, and military service to the Empire. They retain limited autonomy but must follow all Empire directives. Any resistance results in immediate pacification. How long do we have to decide? President Davis asked. 6 months, came the reply. He says this is generous. Most species are given only 30 days. The alien meeting continued for another hour. Overlord Zeftar explained the terms of surrender in detail. Earth would be allowed to keep its governments, but all major decisions would require Empire approval. Humans would be conscripted to serve in the Empire's military. Earth's resources would be harvested to support the Empire's expansion. When the meeting finally ended, the alien ship demonstrated its power once more. Every satellite orbiting Earth went dark for exactly 60 seconds. Television broadcasts stopped, internet connections died, GPS systems failed, cell phones went silent. Then, as suddenly as it had started, everything came back online. The alien ship vanished, leaving behind only the promise to return in 6 months for Earth's answer. President Davis stared at the now empty screen showing the lunar surface. Around her, the Situation Room buzzed with frightened conversations. Madam President, Secretary Mitchell said quietly, what are we going to do? Helen Davis had been president for 4 years. She had faced economic crises, natural disasters, and international conflicts, but nothing had prepared her for this moment. The choice between slavery and extinction. We're going to do what humans have always done when faced with impossible odds, she said finally. We're going to find a third option. The 6 months that followed were the most divided in human history. President Helen Davis watched the news reports with growing concern. Protests filled the streets of every major city. Some people demanded surrender to save humanity from destruction. Others called for war no matter the cost. Marcus Bell, the leader of the surrender movement, appeared on television every day. We cannot fight gods, he said to the cameras. These aliens have destroyed 17 worlds, 17 entire civilizations. If we surrender now, at least some of us will survive. But Secretary of Defense Paul Mitchell had a different view. He stood before Congress and spoke with passion. If we surrender, we lose everything that makes us human. Our freedom, our future, our children's future. I would rather die fighting than live as slaves. General Patricia Cox supported Mitchell. She had spent the last year preparing Earth's defenses, even though everyone knew they were vastly outgunned. We may not win, she told her officers, but we will make them remember that humans do not go quietly. President Davis found herself caught between these opposing views. The weight of 7 billion lives rested on her shoulders. But as the months passed, new information changed everything. Dr. Sam Rodriguez made the first breakthrough. He had been studying every detail of the alien contact, comparing it to historical records and patterns. He requested a private meeting with President Davis. Madam President, I've discovered something important, Dr. Rodriguez said as he entered the Oval Office. I've been analyzing the way the aliens approached us and I noticed something strange. What is it? They gave us a warning. They gave us time to prepare. They demonstrated their power but didn't actually hurt anyone. This is not how conquerors normally behave. President Davis leaned forward. Explain. I studied historical records of invasions and conquests throughout human history. When a powerful force wants to conquer a weaker one, they usually attack immediately or make demands with very short deadlines. They don't give the enemy time to prepare defenses. So why did they give us a year, then 6 months? Dr. Rodriguez pulled out a tablet and showed her charts and graphs. I think they're testing us. Every species they conquered before must have submitted quickly. They're not used to dealing with resistance. This revelation changed everything. If the aliens expected easy surrender, then perhaps humanity's defiance was already disrupting their plans. Admiral Jake Morrison, promoted from his position at Aurora Base, was now commanding Earth's hastily assembled defense fleet. He worked closely with Megan Torres, who had become Director of Advanced Weapons Development. Together, they were trying to find ways to use human technology against an alien enemy. The problem, Megan explained to the Defense Council, is that their technology is so far ahead of ours that it's like trying to fight jet fighters with spears. But spears can still kill, Admiral Morrison replied. We just need to get close enough. Dr. Kevin Lee, the scientist who had been studying alien technology, made the next breakthrough. I've been analyzing the energy readings from their ship, he told the assembled scientists. Their shields operate on a specific frequency. If we could disrupt that frequency, we might be able to get through their defenses. Dr. Nina Gray, the quantum physicist, looked up from her calculations. We could modify our nuclear weapons to emit the right frequency. It would be incredibly dangerous, but it might work. Meanwhile, Lieutenant Danny Walsh was monitoring deep space from the rebuilt Aurora base. What he discovered made his blood run cold. Admiral Morrison, you need to see this immediately. Admiral Morrison reviewed the data with growing anger. They're not waiting for our answer. They're bringing a fleet. The intelligence was clear. The aliens were moving a massive invasion force toward Earth. They had never intended to honor their own timeline. The 6-month deadline was a lie. President Davis called an emergency session of the World Security Council. Representatives from every nation on Earth gathered in New York. The aliens have been lying to us from the beginning, she announced to the assembly. They're coming to invade regardless of our decision. The choice is no longer between surrender and destruction. The choice is between fighting and dying on our knees. The vote was unanimous. Humanity would fight. Captain Julie Adams, a special forces officer, led a secret mission back to the alien landing site on the moon. Using experimental stealth technology, her team managed to plant monitoring devices near the area where the aliens had landed. The intelligence they gathered was invaluable. The alien technology was powerful, but it had weaknesses. Their shields could be disrupted. Their communications could be intercepted. Most importantly, they were overconfident. Director Jack Turner of Global Intelligence analyzed the data. They expect us to fight like the other species they conquered. Traditional space battles with energy weapons and shields. They're not prepared for human tactics. What do you mean? President Davis asked. They've never faced an enemy that uses guerrilla warfare, deception, and dirty tricks. They fight by rules. We don't. The final piece of the puzzle came from Dr. Gray's research team. They had found a way to turn Earth's own moon into a weapon. Using alien technology combined with human engineering, they could create a massive railgun that would fire projectiles at incredible speeds. It will take everything we have, Dr. Gray explained. Every nuclear reactor on Earth will need to contribute power. But we can do it. Colonel Amy Brooks, now commanding the ground forces, smiled grimly. So we're going to shoot them with the moon? Essentially, yes. President Davis looked around the room at the faces of humanity's defenders. Admiral Morrison with his space fleet, Colonel Brooks with her ground forces, Dr. Lee with his modified weapons, Dr. Gray with her impossible railgun. They were outnumbered, outgunned, and facing an enemy that had never been defeated. But they were human, and humans had never been Very good at accepting defeat. How long until they arrive? President Davis asked. 3 weeks, Admiral Morrison replied. Then we have 3 weeks to prepare the surprise of their lives. The alien fleet arrived like a storm of silver death. Admiral Jake Morrison watched from the bridge of his flagship Defiance as hundreds of enemy ships dropped out of faster-than-light travel. They filled the space around Earth like angry wasps, their hulls gleaming in the light of the sun. Admiral, enemy fleet is taking position, reported Captain Tony Miller from the bridge. They're not even bothering with defensive formations. They think this will be easy. Admiral Morrison smiled grimly. Then they're about to learn something about humans. All ships, maintain radio silence. Wait for my signal. The alien commander's voice boomed across all communication channels. His tone was bored, like he was reading from a script he had used many times before. Inhabitants of Earth, your time has expired. You will surrender immediately or face destruction. You have 1 hour to respond. President Helen Davis sat in the war room beneath Washington. Around her, screen showed the alien fleet hanging in space like vultures. Admiral Morrison, are your people ready? Yes, Madam President. All units are in position. Then let's show them what humans do to bullies. The hour passed in tense silence. When no surrender came from Earth, the alien fleet began to move. They approached in perfect formation, their weapons charging with deadly energy. That was when Admiral Morrison gave the signal. All units execute Crazy Horse. The space around Earth erupted into chaos. What the aliens had thought was empty space suddenly filled with human ships. They had been hiding in the shadow of asteroids, behind space debris, even inside the hulks of old satellites. The human fleet was smaller than the alien force, but they appeared everywhere at once. Captain Julie Adams led the first attack. Her squadron of fighters came screaming out of the asteroid belt, using the rocky debris as cover. The aliens tried to track them, but human ships moved in ways that made no sense to the orderly alien minds. Yankee Squadron, break formation and go wild, Captain Adams ordered. Her pilots scattered in every direction, firing missiles and energy, weapons from unexpected angles. The aliens fired back, but their weapons were designed for large-scale battles between organized fleets. They struggled to hit the small, fast-moving human ships that darted between asteroids like angry hornets. Major Kate Sullivan commanded another group of fighters that used a tactic the aliens had never seen before. They had hidden inside Earth's orbital debris field disguised as space junk. When the alien ships passed by, the human fighters erupted from their hiding places and attacked from point-blank range. "This is Viper Leader," Major Sullivan reported as her pilots tore into the surprised alien formation. "They're not expecting us to fight dirty. Their shields are strong against energy weapons, but they're weak at close range." Colonel Amy Brooks was leading the ground battle on Earth's moon. The aliens had sent landing forces to secure their original meeting site, expecting no resistance. Instead, they found themselves facing human soldiers who fought like nothing they had ever encountered. "Use the terrain," Colonel Brooks ordered her troops. "They fight in formation. We don't. Split up and hit them from all sides." The human soldiers used every trick in the book. They hid in lunar caves and attacked with surprise. They used the low gravity to leap impossible distances. They set traps and ambushes that caught the aliens completely off guard. But the real surprise was still coming. Dr. Kevin Lee had spent months working with Commander Rachel Lopez to create their secret weapon. They had modified several communication satellites to carry special transmitters that could piggyback on the alien faster-than-light communication network. "It's working," Dr. Lee reported from his command center. "We're tapped into their communications. We can hear everything they're saying to each other." Intelligence Chief Oliver Stone coordinated the information gathering. Within minutes, human commanders knew exactly where the alien ships were going and what they planned to do next. "Admiral Morrison," Chief Stone reported, "the alien commander is moving his flagship to coordinate a new attack pattern. He's completely unprotected." "Captain Miller, take us in. All power to weapons." The Defiance and its escort ships knifed through the battle toward the alien command vessel. The enemy ship was massive, bristling with weapons, but it had never faced an attack like this. Admiral Morrison's ships didn't try to fight the alien vessel directly. Instead, they used a tactic called swarming. The human ships attacked from every direction at once, too fast and too scattered for the alien weapons to track effectively. But the biggest surprise was yet to come. On Earth's moon, Megan Torres stood in the control center for humanity's most desperate weapon. She had turned the entire moon into a massive railgun, using alien technology combined with human engineering. Power levels are at maximum, she reported to President Davis. All nuclear reactors on Earth are feeding power to the system. We get one shot at this. Make it count, Director Torres. Specialist Alex Kim operated the targeting system. The alien command ship was locked in combat with Admiral Morrison's fleet, completely focused on the battle in front of them. They never saw the moon itself turning to aim at them. Target acquired, Specialist Kim reported. Firing solution locked. Fire, President Davis ordered. The moon seemed to shudder as the massive railgun fired. A projectile the size of a building shot across space at incredible speed. It was moving so fast that the aliens had no time to react. The projectile struck the alien command ship with the force of a nuclear bomb. The massive vessel simply disappeared in a flash of light and debris. Overlord Zeftar and his entire command staff were vaporized instantly. The effect on the alien fleet was immediate. Without their leader, the perfect formations began to fall apart. Ships that had never operated without orders found themselves confused and directionless. All human ships, press the attack, Admiral Morrison ordered. They're breaking up. Don't. Let them regroup. The battle that followed was brutal but one-sided. The alien ships were individually more powerful than human vessels, but they couldn't adapt to the chaotic, unpredictable human tactics. They had been trained to fight organized battles, not the wild melee that space around Earth had become. By the end of the day, the alien fleet was destroyed or fleeing. Earth had won its first victory against the Galactic Empire. But Admiral Morrison knew this was only the beginning. Somewhere out there, the Empire would be planning their revenge. 6 months after the Great Battle, President Helen Davis stood on the bridge of humanity's first interstellar warship. The vessel had been built using captured alien technology, but it was designed with human thinking. It was faster, more flexible, and deadlier than anything the Empire had ever faced. Madam President, we're approaching the target system, Admiral Jake Morrison reported. He commanded a fleet of 50 human ships, each one crewed by volunteers who had signed up to take the fight to the Empire. President Davis looked out at the stars. A year ago, humanity had been hiding in fear. Now they were hunting the hunters across the galaxy. What do we know about this system? She asked. Dr. Sam Rodriguez, now serving as chief xenobiologist for the fleet, stepped forward with his report. Intelligence suggests this is a major Empire outpost. They use it to coordinate attacks on nearby star systems. But more importantly, we believe they're holding enslaved populations from at least 3 different species. The mission had changed after the battle for Earth. Humanity could have been satisfied with driving off the Empire fleet, but President Davis had made a different choice. If the Empire had destroyed 17 worlds and enslaved countless others, then Earth had a duty to stop them. We're not just fighting for ourselves anymore, she had told the United Nations. We're fighting for every species that has suffered under the Empire's rule. Captain Tony Miller, now commanding his own ship, reported from the advanced scouts. We have visual contact with the Empire base. It's massive, Admiral, bigger than anything we faced at Earth. Admiral Morrison studied the tactical display. The Empire base was a fortress in space surrounded by defense platforms and patrolling ships, but human intelligence had given them an advantage. They're not expecting us, Admiral Morrison said. Their communications are still using the old encryption. They think their command ship at Earth was destroyed by accident, not by us. The human fleet had been traveling across the galaxy for months, following the same routes the Empire used. Along the way, they had rescued survivors from destroyed worlds and freed enslaved populations. Each victory had brought new allies to their cause. Commander Rachel Lopez led a squadron of ships crewed by the Velnari, an aquatic species that had been enslaved by the Empire for decades. Their ships were modified human designs that could be filled with water, allowing the Velnari to operate in their natural environment. Human Admiral. The Velnari commander spoke through the translation system. My people are ready to fight alongside yours. The Empire took our children to serve in their fleets. Today we take them back. Captain Julie Adams commanded another squadron with the help of the Tekmor, a crystalline species that communicated through light patterns. They had been forced to work in the Empire's energy mines until human forces freed them. The Tekmor understand Empire shield technology better than anyone, Captain Adams reported. They built those shields as slaves. Now they'll help us destroy them. The attack began at dawn local time. But it wasn't like the chaotic battle at Earth. This time the humans and their allies fought with precision and planning. Colonel Amy Brooks led the ground assault teams. Her forces included humans, Velnari warriors who could fight underwater or in vacuum, and Tekmor soldiers whose crystalline bodies could withstand incredible damage. Remember, Colonel Brooks told her troops as they prepared to board the Empire station, we're not here to destroy everything. We're here to free the prisoners and capture intelligence. Every piece of information we get makes the next fight easier. The space battle was swift and brutal. Human ships used their speed and flexibility to dance around the heavier Empire vessels. The Velnari squadrons attacked in coordinated waves that confused the Empire's targeting systems. The Tekmor fighters used their knowledge of Empire technology to disable shields and weapons with surgical precision. But the real victory came when Colonel Brooks's ground forces reached the station's prison levels. Thousands of beings from dozens of different species had been held there, waiting to be shipped to other parts of the Empire as slaves. This is Liberation Team Alpha, Colonel Brooks reported as her soldiers opened cell after cell. We have massive numbers of prisoners, requesting immediate medical support. Dr. Nina Gray, now serving as the fleet's chief medical officer, worked with alien doctors to treat the freed prisoners. Many had been held for years, some for decades, but they were alive and they were free. Commander Luke Hayes, leading the IDI intelligence gathering team, made the most important discovery. In the station's command center, they found detailed records of Empire operations across the galaxy. Admiral Morrison, you need to see this, Commander Hayes reported. We have the locations of every Empire base, every enslaved world, every military installation. It's all here. But the biggest discovery came from Dr. Beth Rogers, the linguist who had been working to communicate with the freed prisoners. One of them, an elderly being from a species called the Kethani, had worked in the Empire's central archives. He says the Empire's home system is not as heavily defended as we thought, Dr. Rogers translated. Most of their fleets are spread out across the galaxy, controlling enslaved worlds. If we could strike at their capital while their forces are scattered. Admiral Morrison looked at President Davis. It would be incredibly dangerous. We'd be attacking the heart of an empire that has controlled the galaxy for centuries. President Davis thought about Earth, hanging peacefully in space 100 light-years away. She thought about the 17 dead worlds the Empire had left behind. She thought about the thousands of beings they had just freed, and the millions more still waiting for liberation. Admiral, set course for the Empire's home system. The journey took 2 months. Along the way, more and more freed species joined the growing Liberation fleet. By the time they reached the Empire capital, they commanded over 200 ships crewed by beings from across the galaxy. The final battle was everything Admiral Morrison had feared and more. The Empire's home system was a fortress of incredible size and power, but it was also a symbol, and symbols could be destroyed. The fighting lasted for 3 days. When it was over, the Empire's capital world had fallen. President Davis stood in the former Imperial throne room, now serving as headquarters for the new Galactic Liberation Alliance. Reports were coming in from across the galaxy. On world after world, enslaved populations were rising up. The Empire's control was crumbling. Dr. Gray activated the galaxy-wide communication system that had once spread the Empire's orders. Now it carried a different message. This is Earth. President Davis spoke to countless worlds across the galaxy. The Galactic Empire is no more. Any species seeking freedom, any world under oppression, we're coming for you. This is humanity's promise. She looked around the room at the faces of her allies. Humans, Velnari, Thekmor, and dozens of other species working together. The Empire had made one fatal mistake. They had threatened Earth and given humanity time to prepare. Now the species they had tried to warn had become the galaxy's liberators. The end. The most dangerous thing you could do to humans was give them a challenge and tell them it was impossible.